Hello everyone, this is Ross from Retro Dream Beam. I'm an eBay seller full-time. I've been doing this with my fiance Netta for a couple years now. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're about to go into what we were shipping out today on Monday, so it's been a pretty busy weekend. We did source some stuff. I don't know if we can put it on camera because like literally her car is full of stuff right now, so it's just, yeah, it's a lot of organizing and everything's a mess around here. It will become less messy when I list it all. All right, I'm just gonna jump right into it. It's a pretty good weekend. So the first thing that sold, and I have a lot to talk about, is an Ultra Pro dual deck box right here. Yeah, this item right here, like I buy a bunch of different deck boxes because these companies do stop selling certain deck boxes, but then people will have like a Magic collection or a Pokemon collection with a certain box. It worked for them. It had the right compartments. So yeah, this is cool because it can hold 2 decks. It can hold like a Magic Commander deck, which is 100 cards plus extra stuff. These did pretty well. I don't think Ultra Pro makes them anymore, or if they do, it's like a different style. Excuse me there. All right, this ended up selling for $6.50 plus tax, plus shipping. Everything is going to be plus shipping. Of course, there's still tax on it. All right, moving along, we have a teddy bear. We don't sell too many plushes. This was a very old listing. I think Netta maybe listed this one. So yeah, this is a dandy collector's choice, just like a brown, really good condition stuffed animal. I'm keeping it in the bag to make sure it stays like really clean here and like keeping them sealed up. But yeah, this ended up only selling for $7.92. But yeah, it's a pretty good quality bear. This person actually left a note that their daughter was like playing with the teddy bear at like a house they were renting or something like that. Basically, their daughter was obsessed with it. So her daughter's going to be surprised when she gets the actual bear that she was playing with, which is wholesome. All right, next up is going to be a War Machine item. These I got at auction. I got a couple of different auctions from that place. Let me see if I can find it. It's going to be right over here. This is Captain Maxwell Finn for the Signar faction, which is the War Machine, which is their steampunk. This is like the British slash blue faction right there. So yeah, yeah, this one ended up selling for $13.59. So yeah, I think we ended up getting this. I didn't even have this. No, sorry, this was for, I wrote it down. $3. Paid $3 for this. So yeah, I bought a bunch of individual ones. This was not from the collection, but yeah, I ended up selling this one for $3. So $13.59. All right, moving along. Sorry, I'm getting a little distracted right now. Is a Hololive figure right here. This is Pop-Up Parade Hoshu Marine right here. We got a bunch of anime figures from our friends that we buy anime stuff from and other like video game stuff and like that. This ended up selling for $31.99. This is going to be one of those Vocaloids, which is just like one of those characters that's like, it sings and stuff like that. But yeah, $31.99. All right, moving along, we have a lot of 28 The Game of Nations board game player pieces. We got, let's see, right here. I get a bunch of board game pieces. These ones I didn't particularly know what they were, except for I looked them up. When I get them, there's like a couple of tanks. There's like a hand with a diploma on it. There's a couple of forts, and yeah, I think they're gonna be like for some kind of board game, whatever the Game of Nations is. So I just like looked it up and was able to find it on the internet. This ended up selling for $6.39. I get these really cheap. They're basically like throw-ins when I get a bunch of board game pieces. All right, moving along, we have a really cool item. This is going to be an empty box for a PC game. Right here, this is going to be Star Trek Fleet Academy right there. This one was kind of interesting. This we got from the people that were going through their storage unit of their dad's personal stuff. They actually had a whole box of boxes like this where they just like crunched down and they were going to toss them out. But then I ended up asking if I could just buy them. So I paid a very little amount because they were literally going to throw them away that day. There's a bunch of PC boxes. There was like a graphics card box that I sold. I don't know if we were recording it. Maybe we were. Maybe I did show it. It's been a bit. That one sold for like $30. This one sold for $7.50. People just want to rebuild this. They want to have their box, their game in a box, or they want to put it in a bookshelf and it looks nice. So yeah, stuff like this. I love selling like the empty boxes. That is what we get the most like angry messages for. Like people really like to tell us how empty boxes are a waste of time, but we sell them all the time, which is great. All right. Next up is some kind of Edward mask. These are little, this is for F-104 Starfighter, 1 out of 48 scale. These are like little die cut little masks that you put on like, or bits and pieces that you put on like plastic model ships. And it's okay, they probably won't be able to see. I mean, it's just like, you won't be able to see it unless you open it. Yeah, you're gonna put this on like ships or tanks or like infantry and stuff like that. I'm not 100% sure what these are, but I think these are from the UK. I get a bunch of these. These sold for $9.59. So people love to accessorize their games. All right, moving along, we have a White Dwarf magazine. This is number 459. I have a ton of this particular issue, so I got to relist this one. There's no like inserts or anything, but yeah, it's just gonna be like for Games Workshop. This is for like Warhammer 40K and fantasy. I don't even know if they have fantasy in here, but yeah, I got to relist this. I got a bunch of these. I think I bought a bunch bulk from Half Price Books. Actually, I think they were like 80 cents each. So this sold for $7.19. All right. Moving along, I have to find a spot to put this. We got another empty box that sold. So speaking of empty boxes, this is Pokemon Evolving Skies. This is going to be their Elite Trainer box. Yeah, this one looks really cool. It has 4 different EVs like Vaporeon, Espeon, Glaceon, and I can't remember the pink one at this point, the fairy one, unfortunately. I'm drawing a blank right now. There's a bunch of them right now. But yeah, this holds a bunch of cards. It's good for parents for their kids so the kids don't have the cards all over the floor, and you can't put every card in a binder. So this holds like 600 to 800, maybe more, depending on if the cards are sleeved or not. But yeah, this sold for $10.80. All right, moving along is some miniatures that I got right here. This was actually also from the auction. This ended up I paid $2 for, so it was it was like 9 or 10 of them or something. I paid like 18 or 20, so I just like divided the cost among all the items. But yeah, $2 for this individual lot. This is a lot of 40, let's see, Streetlets Indian Infantry Heavy Weapons right here. So yeah, this is going to be, they actually just had the box right there that they cut out, so I just kept it with the listing. It actually helped me identify it, and then there's 40 of these figures. It's not all of them from the box, but yeah, that's why I wrote the listing as 40 of them. So yeah, that sold for $22.39, so that auction is paying off better than I want. We're still not in the profit for the whole thing. Better than you want? Better than I want? What do you mean? Or better than I expected? Better than I expected. You know, I'm trying here, everyone. It's I have a lot to do, so yeah, that's where my brain's at. All right, next up is a lot of 3 comic books. I do get a bunch of comic books from time to time. I know very little about comic books. I always try to pick out what I think is interesting or like similar characters and stuff. I only buy them when they're very, very cheap, and I mean actually very cheap, and they're probably cheap because the person knows and they're selling me stuff, and I'm the one that's going to get the lot up sales for them. They don't want to lot them up. This ended up selling for $8 for 3 of them. It's just the Incredible Hulk, different Hulks from different writers and stuff like that. So yeah, $8 for 3 of them is not too bad, especially when I don't know. I want to slowly learn. I have to like find a website that shows all that. But usually I learn by selling a bunch of stuff on eBay or just by looking up a bunch. But I do, yeah, I've learned a little bit about comics, but like that's a whole world itself. All right, next up is Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi Lego watch. I think Anetta's mom got this for us, or we got it at a thrift store. I actually don't know too much about it. I didn't know that Lego had watches. So yeah, this one's pretty cool. It just says Obi-Wan on the front. There's the back for it. There's like some sales sticker for 15 bucks in the top left. Oh yeah, so this one ended up being a good character. Obviously people like Obi-Wan Kenobi. It sold for $35. So yeah, I learned about Lego watches that way. All right, next up is a lot of 28 colorful plastic military board game tanks right here. This is just something that I couldn't identify. I'm sure it's for a board game, or these are probably just like those little things you can buy at like hobby shops or something. You just get a bunch of one type of thing and they'll be different colors, maybe for like a craft or something. This ended up selling to a repeat buyer for $7, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, someone's coming back. They like their little tanks, so that's great. Yeah, like I said, I get these board game bits and pieces pretty cheap. Sometimes I actually do get more than $7. So yeah, it's not like the craziest sale. Here's like the other one I got from earlier. All right, moving along, we have a Young Justice Kid Flash action figure right there. There's like a little chomp on the top. I actually think we got this from an auction house that was moving, but not when they were moving. We happened to get this from, sorry, I was just thinking out loud. We just happened to get like an auction of like 10 or 15 bucks for a bunch of action figures. It's not our best purchase ever, but they do add up slowly over time. Like this already, probably even after fees, gets us like a break even with that particular line. We've probably sold like 4 or 5 others, and then they come with like 20 different like janky characters and stuff. They're not going to be like the really good action figures or like the well-known ones, right? So if you're thinking like X-Men, you're not going to get Magneto or Wolverine. You're going to get like some side character. All right, moving along, we have Fort Ticonderoga. I don't know if I'm saying that right. There you go. It's going to be a military book. I actually just know very little about history, and I kind of just blame my history classes when I was a kid. They were very boring, and they just mostly stuck around like it was like Civil War, Revolution, like a little bit of World War II. I feel like that's all I remember ever being taught about, just over and over again. I didn't learn about any of the extra side stuff, all the extra interesting battles, like the deepness to like history for humans. Yeah, I didn't really get many teachers that went deep on it. So I think that's why I don't know too much, but yeah, this ended up selling for $8. We do get a bunch of military books, so I do know that people enjoy reading up on this stuff. It is fascinating for them. All right, next up is some more War Machine stuff. We have a Spriggan right here. Spriggan is a Warjack. Let me take him out of the bag. He's just going to be for the Kador army, which is the red army right there. I don't know if you can see this, but yeah, this is going to be a heavy Warjack. It's just like their bigger figures. This ended up selling for $15.99. I actually didn't put, actually, no, sorry, it was, I put down that I spent $0 on this, but the reason was it came in with a lot where I said, oh, I think I'm gonna get like 50 listings, divided it between $150, but then there ended up being more than like the 50 listings or whatever. So those ones I just put as like a 0, because like I already did the math. I was already like deep into listing them. I didn't realize, if you actually watch the video of us going through that War Machine collection, the first video of us doing it, you can see me talk about there's like a pile of bits and pieces, and I'm like, oh, that's like, I don't know, 1 or 2 listings or something, end up being more. So yeah, so I did spend a couple dollars on it, just I like recorded it for slightly less. So yeah, $15.99 for this piece. And then the really cool big sale was a starter set. Is this in the way or no? All right, this ended up selling, this is the War Machine 2-player starter set. This ended up selling for $119.99. So this is pretty cool. This is more than enough stuff. There's going to be a lot of miniatures. I think there's 20 miniatures, so it's going to be like a bunch of the Cricks, which are going to be kind of like, I think the Cricks are going to be like the undead-ish steampunk people, and then you have the Signar, which are like the British, the blue people or something like that. So yeah, that's like all loosely related, that they're related to these like different factions. That's just my interpretation of it. They have their own lore and stuff like that. All right, but this, yeah, that's a really good sale. So technically when I divided that whole bulk lot into everything, so I spent, what, $4 on this, which is really cool. That I basically am already in the profit for that one auction bundle that I bid up to 150. All right, next up is also something cool for Halloween, so completely different than miniatures. This is going to be from JCPenney. This is a Boo little towel set. So you got the towel, you have the oven mitt, and then you have a magnet. So yeah, this is really cool. It's vintage. I had a couple other ones, so I wish the person grabbed the other stuff. Yeah, it's a cool one. This is still sealed, $15.84. I don't remember. Actually, yes, I do. It was a estate sale. Someone that we go to a lot of estate sales. We got a bunch of stuff bulk from them. We usually go to the last day, and they usually give us a good deal if we just make a big pile and it's the last day. So yeah, we found that stuff digging into like tubs in a in like a basement and stuff. You can really find a lot of cool stuff for estate sales where you're actually allowed to just like dig through everything. You got to dig. You got to get dirty. You got to get messy. But yeah, you find cool stuff like that, and you make good money from it too. All right, next up is not miniatures, but more nerdy stuff. It's going to be some Versus System card games. So right here by Upper Deck, this is going to be a 2-player like starter set. I have literally a whole box of these, so I just relisted another one. I don't do quantity. There's like marks on this corner right here and then, so I show that in the picture. So I take new pictures at the storage unit when one sells. I also don't want someone to see that I have a bunch of a quantity of this particular item, because then I'm just going to get like, oh, you have a bunch, I'm going to send you offers of $1 for each of them. Oh, for you, I'll get them off your hands for $1.50. It makes it seem like I want to get rid of all of them. I want to sell them one at a time at a good pace. I do sell this one often. So this plus this little, I think it's also a starter deck. I think this is just 55 cards it says on it. This is the Resistance. So yeah, these are both Marvel. This ended up selling for $16 as a combo order. I have more of these, not as much as the other one. So I also relisted this one. This one I just did same picture because I don't have any dented corners and stuff like that. They're sealed, so they're good condition. So that was pretty cool. They originally sent lower offers, not knowing that we would do combined shipping. We sent counter offers. They sent a message where they were like, well, I'll accept the counters if you do combined shipping. I'm like, oh yeah, we always do combined shipping. So yeah, $16 for that, which is pretty good because I got to relist them both. All right, next up is something I haven't heard about. These are Star Wars flip images cards right here. I guess you can like collect these. These are going to be, oh, now of course I can't think of the word. What's the word of the type of card where like it moves? Oh no, we just talked about this when we were at the convention. You don't remember? I want to say it's not lithogram. Oh, it's going to bother me. You know what? I'll just move on. But yeah, the image moves as you go through it. $12.96 for this little set. It looks like there's 6 sets you can collect. So yeah, that's cool. All right, I'm going to move on. It's going to bother me until I figure out the name of what that type of card is. All All right, next up is an Ultra Pro container right here. This is something that we get when the person sells us anime figures. Sometimes they're just in these collectible cases. You can use these for action figures, cards, I guess, baseballs, like sports stuff. Sometimes these are labeled weird. I just do the dimensions. This was still resellable, so it's like an extra thing that I'm getting from the person. I'm like, I always ask, do you care about the containers, boxes, any of those? They go, nope. And then for the ones that I can list, I do list. This ended up selling for $9.60. Hopefully it's not too messed up on the camera. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Someone's going to use this probably to hold an action figure or like a sports ball or something like that. All right, moving along, we have a really cool like CD. I got this from a person I get CDs from. This is going to be TSR Waveforms Audio Sampler for gamers. Super cool because TSR is the company that made Dungeons and Dragons. So yeah, this has a really cool label, really cool front. It's probably just like sound effects. It's probably gonna be super janky. Someone's probably gonna spice up their RPG game, or they see it as like a piece of history like I saw it because it's by TSR. This is like the weird stuff that I love searching for. I got $17.59, so not the craziest because there's probably more listed when I listed this like a year or two ago. But yeah, I think items like this are pretty cool. All right, next up we have a Boss Monster Collector's Box. So this is a really cool board game. Right there. This is just going to be like a little lunch box. It's going to hold all of your cards for the Boss Monster game, and it includes 11 new cards and even so like promo cards. This particular board game, it's an older one. I want to say it's from like 2010 to like 13 or 14 or something. It's still a good one. You're playing as a boss monster, so you get to pick a boss monster, and then you play cards as little parts of your dungeon, and there's going to be a bunch of heroes in the middle, and everyone's trying to attract the heroes over to their dungeon, and the heroes go through your dungeon, and you're trying to kill them, basically, make them fall in pits, the typical stuff that would happen in a Super Nintendo game, and then you'll collect their souls, like the little ghosties, like kind of like when you're playing a video game, your character passes away, they turn into a little ghost. So you're collecting those, and I think the first one to get like a certain amount wins. So it's a really cool game. If you haven't played it, or you really want to play like a pretty casual but still strategy game, there's probably a bunch cheap on eBay. Not by me. I don't think I have the base game list anymore. I've sold it before, but yeah, take a look at it. It's really cool. And this is a collector's box. So yeah, this holds all of the games, sleeved even says on it. So yeah, this sold for $30. So it's a pretty cool. This is essentially like an empty box with 11 promos, but like an official like empty box. I know it's a weird one. All right, moving along, we have 2 lots of bits and pieces for Tyranid Warhammer 40K. So yeah, there's this lot right here. You probably really can't tell what you're looking at. It looks like a bunch of arms, wings, swords, weapons. These are going to be like the little aliens for Warhammer 40K. Think like Zerglings from StarCraft 2 and stuff like that. They're going to have like a hive mind. You play a bunch of them. So these end up selling for $28. This was on auction. I paid $40 for a huge bin of a bunch of bits and pieces organized in jars by races or whatever. So Tyranids were all in 1 or 2 jars. So yeah, I got like 50, 60, 70 listings. I lost track. So it's hard to say like how much I paid for these, probably like 50 cents or $1 or something. I'll just say $1. So yeah, $28 for the combo order is pretty good. All right, moving along is a CD right here. This is going to be the Civil War, 4 Years of War and its Aftermath. So yeah, this is going to be like a little interactive PC game. Super weird story about this. One, because we had like a combo order that had a lot of messages back and forth, and then either Aneta or I happened to incorrectly include something that we like unlisted, which happened to be this one. They didn't want this one at the time, but now I think they came back, they like the other 2 games they got, and then they did order this one. So it's like super weird for me. So like it's almost like one of us knew that they wanted this one and they didn't order it the first time. So yeah, it's really funny that they are ordering it. Yeah, I didn't explain that properly, but yeah, it would take too long to explain it. All right, $11.52. Basically, we brought the wrong item home and messed up our listing and had to like change some stuff, but then it sold anyway. So it's like, doesn't matter. All right, next up is I want to give you a slight warning. So this is, if you're ever going to play Risk Legacy, the board game, unlikely. We don't have like a crazy amount of people that watch this, but I don't want to spoil something cool because these are going to be pieces from it. So now that I'm rambling, okay, I've given you guys enough time. All right, the spoiler's gone. These are going to be 2 bags of the alien race in Risk Legacy. Really cool. This is a historic board game, at least in my mind. This is the first board game that claimed the Legacy title, and a Legacy board game is my favorite type of board game. So what a Legacy board game is, it can mean a lot of different things, but in general, you're usually playing a campaign of like 10, 12, or 15 games. In each game, you will make permanent choices to the game, and that's where like games differ. Sometimes it is ripping up cards, sometimes you get to Sharpie stats and stuff, sometimes you get to put stickers and stuff, sometimes it's on a map. And then a lot of these games you can replay and make different choices, almost think of like a choose your own adventure, but for a board game. I love the experience of legacy games. I'm almost getting goosebumps thinking about it. So yeah, this was the first one that got me into legacy games. This was the first one that was designed. The next big hit was the Pandemic Legacy. I also think that they were the same designers as well. This is a really cool game. In a particular part in Risk Legacy, I can't remember exactly what the aliens, when they come out, but I think it might be when there's like so many troops lost in a particular turn, or if there's like too many nukes that are used or something like that. There's something that triggers this, and you can try to rush the little packets. There's going to be a bunch of packets in the board game. It'll be like, oh, the first person that loses opens up this packet, and then they get to make choices and permanent changes to the game. So it's really cool. I just like the concept. All right, I'm rambling too much about it, but yeah, Risk Legacy pieces, $14 for these two. Super cool. Look into legacy board games. I don't know. I love them. All right. Next up right here is going to be Kurdo Bots or something like this. Is just probably that's just the company. This is going to be Futurama. This is going to be a character that everyone loves. Leela right there. So yeah, this is something you get little random characters. Someone already opened it, and then they got Leela right there. So yeah, someone's gonna be super excited about this. I got this in our video where I talked about, I think our first video where it's a bunch of stuff on the table. Yeah, this ended up selling for $6. So nothing too crazy for these things, but someone's gonna put it on a shelf like how I have stuff behind me. So yeah, this sold for $6. All right, next up is going to be a cool Fantasy Flight board game by Rainer Knizia or something like that. People love that board game designer. I'm probably butchering his name because I never thought about it. I always looked at it, never had to say it out loud. This is Colossal Arena right here. So yeah, someone's going to be purchasing this game probably because they know the designer and they like the designer and they want all of his games. I can't think of what other games he's made, but he's made a lot. He's like well known in the board game community. I spent $2 or actually $4 for this at auction. I actually knew that this was like a hidden little gem that could sell for like 20 or more. I ended up just getting 18. I just took like a cheaper offer. I'm going to move on from this particular item. I've played this game. It's a really cool game. You're ending it up, you have cards in your hand that activate from different monsters on the board, and throughout the turns of the game, you are bidding on different monsters, and I think you only get to use the monsters' abilities if you win the bid. It's just a really cool, unique card game where you're betting on monsters, and then you get to do cool abilities with the cards in your hands. It's a lot of fun. If you haven't played it, I do recommend it. It does look generic. Someone else showed me this game. But yeah, this ended up selling for $18. All right, next up is also a really interesting item. This is going to be New York Auto Show like portfolio for Lamborghini right there. So there's going to be a folder. There's like a catalog for the new Lamborghinis. I think this is from 2007. We got a bunch of these when I was talking about the auction house moving from one location to another. There was a bunch of these like auto show and stuff, Lamborghini magazines. I think you get them when you go to these shows or when you pay a bunch of money for the particular cars, I think. I'm not a car person, but yeah, this ended up selling for $15. So that's pretty cool that we got like something that we normally don't get. And then next up, we're almost done here. We have Luis Del Mar CD right here. This one's going to be sealed. I've gotten a bunch of CDs. These are mostly all from a long time ago, 75 bucks for like a full car full. I've listed almost most of them. This one's sealed. I don't know anything about this one, but it sold for $12. It had a lot of weird, unique CDs that I hadn't heard of before. I think that's why they sell slowly when someone thinks of it, and then they have the money and they see my listing, they go ahead and grab it. All right, and the last thing for the day is going to be a little Vanderbeer, let's see, Muffy Vanderbeer fall clothing outfit right there. So there's little overalls, which is pretty cute right there, and then there's gonna be a little shirt right there. So yeah, we do pretty well with these like doll and bear clothing. Annetta usually knows which ones to grab, state sales and stuff like that. I can't remember particularly where she got these, maybe a thrift store. It's been a bit. So yeah, that one's ended up selling for $7.99. That's the last item for the day. So yeah, we have a bunch to list today. So I'm gonna list some more. I'm gonna list some WoW TCG cards. I might list a couple of strategy guide books. I might list a couple of choose your own adventure books. And then I also have some like more miniatures and then some like miniature terrain. So yeah, that's a lot. I don't know if I'll get to all of that. I just want to let you guys know what I'm going to be working on. Shipping all this is going to take some time. But yeah, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to help support us, take a look at our shop down below. And yeah, it's the beginning of the week, so I hope everyone has a good one.